They didn't have a choice but to put septic tanks. And they had to have the larger lots, especially at Cross Street, because they had poor soils. There were some lots that they could not even put a conventional septic tank on, and they had to make them larger. Now, I know if that developer had had sewer, that those lots would have been a lot smaller. If he wanted to get them as small as he could, but he had no choice. There was no infrastructure for him to draw from. And there is now. Now we have the chance to use this infrastructure that is there. It was put there at county expense, I'm sure, for us to use. And in the plans, this was designated as a suburban area, and that's all we want to treat it as. The lots are larger everywhere else because they didn't have a choice.
Another thing, and talking about house size, I do think if you go out there, of course there are some houses that are larger, that are adjacent, but there are also some houses that are adjacent that are 1,600, 1,800 square feet, I believe. I did pull the tax assessor's records on all the adjacent properties, and I'd be happy to give those to you to look at. They do have a few of my notes on them, so I would like them back if I could get them back. But I think what you'll see is, you know, I don't think these lots and these houses are going to be a detriment to the value of the properties that are out there. And I respect the neighbors' concerns and their disagreements with me on that. But that's just one point I wanted to bring up. You know, Barbara touched on the R10 compromise, and like she said, you know, with R10, and Mr. Davenport can correct me if I'm wrong, you know, there's no requirement for green space. We've got over 4 acres of green space here. That's over an acre of what's required. And the reason we've got so much is to try and accommodate some of the concerns of the adjacent neighbors, Ms. Don in particular, which there's almost 3 acres of green space that runs along their property line. You know, if we did something like R10, Mr. Williams, Ms. Don would be looking at the back of houses. So I think, you know, there's a reason ED, and it's to try and get creative with some of these green spaces to accommodate concerns like that. And I just, you know, the economics aside of doing R10, I do think that's one thing that should be taken into consideration. If I can, talk about density, and then I'll go to traffic, and we'll come back.